All right, everyone. So, I was in a discussion yesterday, and it was about 2019, 2020, even 2021. And the comment was made, with all the corruption and that, what do you do? When's it time? COVID-19, in my opinion, was a big test. Test was to see who would comply. Not just the people with the lockdowns, with vax mandates, but who in the military would comply, who in law enforcement would comply, the citizens who would comply. From what I've seen, the results of the big test show that most citizens would comply. They wore that mask even if they didn't want to. If you wore it because you thought it was going to save your life or whatever, so be it. If you wore it because it was easier and to not get into confrontations with people, so be it. It's called America. It's your fucking right to do whatever the hell you want to do. It's not your right to impose your will on other people, nor is it my right to impose my will on you. I think that big test came out way better for them than what they even dreamed it would. You had law enforcement who took an oath to protect the citizens, at least here in Michigan. Even when it was declared unconstitutional, they still enforced the governor's executive orders, locking down people, locking down businesses. They still stood by and watched BLM and Antifa vandalize and burn shit down. Before COVID, I was a support the thin blue line guy. Now, I'm not saying that cops are bad people, but the last few years have showed me that's just it. They're people. They're going to do what they're told, just like most people did what they were told. They got the vaccine, they wore the mask, they stayed at home, they did what they were told. Period. So be it. That's their choice. I made mine. I was not going to comply. I was not going to get the fucking vaccine, and I didn't do any of it. I didn't comply. I went wherever the hell I wanted, whenever the hell I wanted, did what I wanted. If somebody kicked me out of their store because I refused to wear a mask, I'll just never go to that store again. Period. That's just where I'm at with it. So the big test, what did we learn? We learned that law enforcement are people, just like all the people that took the vaccine so that they could go to the movies or go out to dinner. Not even to save their job. People did it so they could go to a fucking football game. They didn't want to take the vaccine, but that football game was so important that they took the vaccine so that they could go to football games or concerts. Them are the people that will give up their liberties. They will get on that in that boxcar because that's what they're told to do. So be it. That's them. We learned that law enforcement, like I said, they may be good people, but they're just people. And they're going to take care of themselves and their families. And they'll lock your ass up, even if it's unconstitutional, because, hey, I'm just following orders. So that oath doesn't mean shit. The oath that the politicians take doesn't mean shit. Everybody wants to blame everything on the Democrats. It's not just Democrats. You have rhinos like Pence, McConnell, Graham, McCarthy, Crenshaw, Cruz, say one thing and then do something else. Vote on things that restrict your rights. Bend you over and stick it in your ass. So what do? That's what was asked of me. I don't know what to tell you what to do. I'm just a normal person like the rest of you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to look out for me and mine, the people that I trust, which is a very small group of people. The thin blue line, I don't support it because I know when it comes down to it, they will break that oath because they're just following orders. Doesn't mean that I dislike cops. Doesn't mean that I won't be polite to them if I see them on the side of the road. It just means that I will never trust them, ever, again. Uvalde showed me when kids were getting shot. You mean to tell me while they were stacked up in a fucking hallway, that they didn't hear them kids crying out? They did not hear them kids getting murdered? Bullshit. We already know the facts on that. They were told to stand down and wait. So they stood in the hallway and listened to kids get murdered. And they stood down and they waited. They were following orders. Don't ever think that law enforcement has your best interest at heart. They may mean well, and they may be there to protect you. But if their orders are to arrest you, even if you're doing nothing wrong, they're going to follow their orders before they follow that oath. Period. People, you prep for whatever the worst case scenario you can think of is. Make sure you have a means of food, water, heat. If you live in a colder climate, like I live in Michigan, make sure you have a way to protect your family, yourself, and the things that you have. The Second Amendment, to me, is right there with the First Amendment. They're equally as important. You need the First Amendment so that people can say how they feel. If you don't agree with them, you don't have to listen to them. If you don't agree with me, you don't have to listen to me. You can unsubscribe if you're subscribed. You can just not watch. Hell, you can give me a thumbs down. I really don't care. People ask me questions, so I come on here to answer the questions. Whatever you do doesn't affect me or my life in any way, shape, or form. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The good Lord knows what He's doing. If it's my time, it's my time. I'm not scared of it. I like to stick around for quite a long time, see my grandkids grow up and everything else. But I don't get that say. When it's my time, the good Lord's going to call on me, and I'll have to answer for things I've done, and hopefully if I'm a good person, I'll get in heaven. If I'm not, we all know where I'm going. And that's that. You know, I'm not a preacher. I'm not going to preach to you. I'm just telling you, I'm of Christian belief. That's how I feel about what's going on in this world. You have all these idiots that voted for Democrats because they were going to cancel their student loans. And they do this every election. They talk, they don't promise reparations. They don't promise student loan forgiveness. They don't promise anything, but they talk about it and lead you to believe that they're going to do it. And Republicans lead you to believe that they're going to protect your constitutional rights and that, and then vote on spending bills that have red flag laws and everything else attached to them. And funding bills for the next year that take all your money and send it to Ukraine so they can launder it back to themselves. How is it that some of these politicians have went from being worth 2 or 3 million or 15 million to 25, 30 million, 80 million in a 2-year time period. It's impossible on their salary, so they got something crooked going on. How about, since it was so important, and I'm not anti-Trump, I'm not a huge Trump is God or nothing else. He's a man. I think he did some pretty decent things while he was in office. He did some things I did not fucking like he was going to try and pass national red flag laws. He banned bump stocks. He did things I didn't like. He did more good than he did bad, but he's a politician. He had to give in to the left on some things. I mean, that's what they all do. They all compromise. And that's why we're where we're at today. And it's not just the politicians compromising. We as people compromised. Well, I'll wear that mask because it makes somebody else feel safer. No, fuck you. I'm not wearing the mask. Well, I'll take that vaccine because, it might save grandma's life. No, I'm not a fucking guinea pig. I'm not going to take it. You do you. I don't care. These were the things that were asked me. This is how I feel about it. Do I hate police officers? No. Like I said, if I see them, I'll wave at them. Would I risk my life for one? Absolutely not. They showed me with Uvalde. They showed me when they arrested pizza shop owners and barbers for refusing to shut down their businesses while Walmarts and Myers and all that were left open. Where the barber shop might get 10 or 15 people a day in it and way less chance of spreading COVID than going into Walmart where there's 5,000 to 10,000 people a day going through it. It had nothing to do with public safety. It had nothing to do with slowing the spread, slowing the curve, or anything else. It was a big test. It was control. They wanted to see if they could control the people. And a very large part of the population, if not even a majority of it, complied. What did they learn in that test? Law enforcement will break their oath to make sure that they still have a paycheck. People will comply because movies, football games, going out to dinner is more important than their constitutional rights. So what am I going to do? I'm going to continue to live my life the way I've always lived it. I'm going to do what I want, when I want. I'm going to try and be a good person. I'm going to try and be a law-abiding person. If they pass unconstitutional laws like braces and this and that were legal when I bought this stuff, and then they decide it's illegal, I'm not going to comply. If they want to turn me into a criminal, then I guess I'll be a criminal. I mean, I don't know what else to do. I mean, I will never surrender my beliefs or my integrity for their false sense of security. It's not going to happen. When bars were open, but churches were closed during COVID, they showed me they have absolutely no morals. None of these politicians. When you couldn't go to the doctor's office without jumping through all kinds of hoops, and they were doing a lot of that stuff through these Zoom meetings or whatever. It had nothing to do with health or anything else. It was about control. They wanted to see who would comply. Period. And after seeing died suddenly and other things, makes you wonder if they weren't trying to kill off a bunch of people. Just my opinion. That's all it is an opinion. Take it or leave it. I really don't give a shit. I'm just telling you how I think. So, what do? Stock up on food, stock up on water, make sure you got some way of shelter and heat, make sure you have protection. They want to pass laws banning guns. You can turn in your guns. I really don't give a shit either way what you do. I'm just not going to do it myself. I mean, that's just me. And I'm not burying shit. I didn't lose shit in a boating accident. It's mine. I bought it legally, constitutionally, everything else. So, fuck them. You know? I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. I'm 50 years old, gonna be 51. The fuck do I care what they say or do now? I'm getting towards the end of my life. Whether it's tomorrow or a year from now, or 15 years from now, it's not my choice, that's God's choice. If they want to leave me alone, I'll be a law-abiding citizen. If not, then so be it. It'll be what it is. I'm not going to stress out over it, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do like I've always done. Do what I do, and that's it. And them are the thoughts of a pissed off American.